To another episode of St Vincent Untold Stories. On a Sunday, the 9th of February, just after 1 a.m., the community of Langley Park was left in mourning after Anona's Highlands ran in and tack and sent one of its young residents straight through the graveyard. The young man was identified as Oraika Charles from Langley Park, better known as a tall man. Please remember to hit the like button, and if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. And if you wish to get updated with all our latest videos, please remember to hit the notification bell. Tallman's graveyard ascending has now been recorded as the fifth graveyard ascending for the year 2025 by force. Those who knew Tallman said that he lost his mother a few weeks ago. Now that is not easy for the other children, losing a mother, then losing a brother, and for the smaller ones, losing a grandmother and an uncle, a nephew, a cousin. Right at this moment, the police are carrying out the investigations, and the family is mourning because they said that the family was very close knit. You see, these are communities where you don't get a lot of graveyard ascending by force. So it sent shock waves to the entire village. Rantola Stories want to say condolences to the family of Tallman. It is alleged that in 2023, St. Vincent recorded 55 graveyard ascendings by force, and in 2024 it recorded 54. Now we are in February 2025, and we are already at 5. Back in 2023 and 2024, some of those graveyard ascendings were connected, and some were not. Some happened in different places. When we look at the statistics, we could see where the hotspots were. Paul's Avenue, Uptown, Edinburgh, Otley Hall, Murray Village, Montrose, Villa, Belmont, and Glyn. We also had a few in places like Georgetown, Peterborough, Richland Park, Greg's, and surrounding areas. Press conferences were held, and some officers said that they were gangs, and some denied that gangs were in St. Vincent. Some made allegations that the crime situation was out of control, and others said that was not true. Some even claimed that the police was not doing enough to combat the crime situation around the island. They said that they were not seeing a lot of police presence in some of the areas, and the police used to have a mobile patrol in some of them, so they needed those mobile patrols back. The police even said that if persons have information, they must come forward. They were saying that the new people had information, but some of them are not willing to come forward. Some people said that they were not willing to take the risk because they don't trust the police. They think that they would go and talk back. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force even started a movement called Pan Against Crime. They set up programs within the prison systems so the prisoners can learn skills so that when they get out, they would not have to be repeat offenders. CCTV cameras were installed all around St. Vincent, and they even recruited more police officers for the line of duty. Videos circulated on social media with the conditions of some of the police stations. So the people were saying, give the police better dwelling quarters. It is alleged that some police have said that they don't have the equipment and the proper infrastructures to combat some of those criminal activities. For example, a forensic lab and a ballistic testing unit. Before that, there was a special unit called the Black Squad. But people were saying that the Black Squad usually put their hands on the people. Some people said that back then the crime rate was lower because the Black Squad was a force to be reckoned with. You know, men were afraid to commit crimes. Some even made statements saying that the youths were committing crimes because of poverty. But some people who came up poor and who made it in a society said that it is the mind that controls a man because they themselves came up poor and they did not turn to crime. Some started to point fingers and started to play the blame game. So they were saying that it was the current administration in power, and some even blamed the opposition, even calling on other churches. But you see, no matter how much blame was laid, things were still happening. In mathematics, when the teacher gives you a problem to solve, you try to find the solution. You don't blame or point fingers. So, I am going to point out some problems and I am going to identify some solutions. In the St. Vincent, there are men who go to prison and then they become repeat offenders. Some are saying they are going back to get some food because on the streets they cannot get any food. But when they go into prisons, they are given an opportunity to learn a skill. But what happens when they are released? Are they put back into society, into a job? Are they given a place to stay? So we saw recently where some residents from the bottom tongue area was moved to a different area. And when they arrived in that area, residents were saying, why bring them here? And they are criminals. You see, that within itself speak volumes. You can't wrong the people for saying that. What needs to be done is that a housing scheme needs to be set up. Build up a big apartment building to house the persons coming out of prison. And within that housing scheme, set up a few smaller factories where the prisoners can ply their trade. For example, if a man goes behind bars for theft, when he comes out, do you think a business that deals with money will want to employ him? No, sir. So you see, the right measures needed to be put in place. When a young fella commits a crime in St. Vincent, or his parents can no longer go with him, he is sent to the boys' Liberty Lodge. And over the years, there have been a lot of rumors coming out of that facility. So why don't put the proper security there to make sure that they are well protected, that it becomes a safe haven for them, so that their minds can walk more freely. A few months ago, I had the opportunity to speak with one of Rowley's right-hand men in Trinidad, and he said that in the primary school, the youths are given breakfast and lunch. So why we don't give a free lunch within the school system? You see, the vendors have to survive as well. But those who can buy will buy, and those who can't afford will take the lunch at school. So there have been complaints saying that poverty is the number one cause of crime on the island. So sometimes if you need a piece of lumber, piece of galvanized, you have to go to a special place. Why don't the relevant authorities, the community walkthroughs, and see the houses that really need the repair? For example, there might be youths who are sleeping on the floor. A man from Bragsa could just come and knock up a few board and put the youth them on a comfortable thing. It have a lot of investors who want to come and invest in the island. So we should let them invest. But under one condition. You see, a trust fund needs to be set up. So every month they have to make a contribution towards that trust fund, and the monies from that trust fund should go to the people who are in need. We have seen where men are being caught with illegal possession of machines, and some are saying give them 50 years, give them 60 years. But giving 40 and 50 and 60 years doesn't mean that they won't go back and handle the illegal machines again. In America, they set up boot camps. So when you go in, you get a military training. You have to do about 100 push-ups every day. We have also seen where a lot of young girls have been making a lot of babies. And at Untold Stories, we love babies. And now, sometimes they get one, then they get a two, then they get a three, and they get a four. Now, if you want them to just make one or two and stop there, then you have to put the right measures in place. Why not put sponsors so that these sponsors can help them take care of the kids? Because sometimes the fathers are not around. They leave the single mothers by themselves to struggle. And sometimes people look down on them, saying that they never sent them to make more babies. But things happen. You think hungry is easy to bear? And sometimes some of the men don't give anything unless they get something in return. Then some of the women would say they have to give him a child. But you have to sit back and think and ask yourself, can he take care of the child? When the child is born, what would happen? Would it send us into extreme poverty? So you have to talk to the men and tell them, no, you have to wait. We have to get ourselves financially stable first. So if as a young lady you meet a nice guy, but he's unemployed, but he's trying, you can walk into the family court and explain to the counselors that you know you want to start a smaller family, but your boyfriend does not have a job. Can you help him get a job, or can you help him get us a skill? Let us think outside of the box. If you are hungry, he's hungry, and you have a child, then he has to go out and try to look it, and then he'll get himself mixed up in illegal activities. We have seen instances where men were caught with large portions of the green substance. Now, we have to understand that these men are farmers, and sometimes it's the only way of life they know. So why when caught with the illegal substance, they have to go to prison or pay larger fine? Why not say, look, you have a skill right there. So let us put you on one of those green substance farm. You see, they might say, well, come in and get the paperwork and get the license. But as a small timer, they are not going to give a small timer license, especially if you don't have a land. And if the lands are provided, they still have to meet a certain amount of requirements. And now we have to commend the Ministry of Agriculture for what they are doing. It is alleged that they have provided small-time farmers with over 3,000 chickens, and they have given them feed. But there are those who can't build the full pens. What if you provide them with a few materials? A lot of youths in St Vincent get involved in sports from a tender age, but when they grow older, they break away. The main reason why they break away it is because they do not get paid from playing sports. So something needs to be set up where these guys can get a stipend, especially those who played for the national teams. And when you become older, you now have responsibilities. So you can't just play sports for fun. You have to survive. And some of these people have families, they have children, and their children have to eat. When it comes to the IT syllabus in the schools, why are they still using the syllabus from way back when technology has changed? We are in a world where machines are taking over. And some of these machines also have to be handled by certain specialists. So if we continue to use that same old syllabus, how are the youths going to advance themselves in order to use these new machines? Also, the banking system in St. Vincent. need a full upgrade. Bitcoin, Cash App, PayPal, and all these apps are taking over. Why are we behind? We needed to do something fast. And now, from what I gather, it is that everyone is saying that St. Vincent is the cleanest Caribbean island around. But the vendors also has to survive. So we have to give them one day to ply their trade on the street. That they could be Saturday, but they can't carry out the same old wooden chairs and tables that they used to have. So the relevant authorities can buy some plastic tables, and the vendors can pay a small fine every Saturday to use them. But if those vendors are caught littering, they could be charged a fine. So everyone would be afraid to litter like how it was before. And it could be a system where Peter pay for Paul and Paul pay for all. So if a vendor drops something on the ground, the vendor next door can say, look, you dropped something, pick it up immediately before the authorities come. And now we have seen cases where men have been charged for stealing a bottle of rum, a couple of pounds of sugar, and some other small items. If those items are not open when the perpetrators are caught, why not just put them back on the shelves and let the perpetrators do some hard labor, like they have to go behind the supermarket and sweep up the whole place? Sometimes we have the mango season, the breadfruit season, and the plum season, and we just keep exporting these things in their raw form. Why don't we build a couple of small factories where we can make other juices and put the label of St. Vincent and the Grenadines on them? And these factories can then provide jobs. We also have a situation where a lot of young people want jobs, but some of the jobs are far away and they have the qualifications to get the jobs. But when they do the mathematics, transportation, and so forth would take back the monies. So why not build up a couple of apartment buildings in Kingstown so that these people can rent these apartments at a cheaper rate? And after that, they get on their feet and they can fend for themselves. Then they have to go out on their own and do their own thing. And then you bring in a next set again. And after they are gone, then a next set again. So everyone is given an equal opportunity. So it's on them now to take advantage of these opportunities. There are so many solutions we can come up with. But these are just some of the ideas.